What's up? My name is George, the sports freak. Yeah, Portugal versus France. Just finished watching the game. It was crazy. It was very dramatic. Like it was boring. You could say when you look back at it and you look at the highlights, you'll be like, and you just a guy who doesn't know anything, you just watch the game. You'll be like, yeah, it was a pretty boring game. 2-2, three penalties, only one goal from open play. Yeah, it was like kind of boring. You look at it was just a lot of passing around. Essentially, it kind of went the way I was expecting it to go, but. It was it was a little disappointing at times for me personally, especially at the end when it was 2-2. I wanted Portugal to go for the win because they could have won the game, you know, but they were sitting back. And another thing, when Portugal was sitting back, I was so worried that France was going to score. Like when France was passing around, their fans actually started booing them because they wanted them to attack, and I totally respect that. I wish the Portuguese fans would do that. I hate the fans that get content with mediocrity. I want the Portuguese fans to encourage the team to attack whenever they get the ball instead of just pass it around. Because France was like they were like trying to pass it around near the end, and then they were like, "Oh shoot, they're whistling us. We got to attack." And at the end, holy shit, I thought there was going to be a penalty. I really thought that was a penalty at the end. I was like, I'm just like, okay, I guess this is a sign from God. Fernando Santos, your time's done. We're going to go out like this. But then obviously I realized that Germany had tied their game by that close to that point. So if Portugal lost, they still would have gone through in the same third place. So it didn't matter. But I got to see both the players that I wanted to start come onto the field in Diego Dallo and João Palhinha, which is good. But they did make the necessary changes. They finally made the necessary changes. They took off William Carvalho, who was the main issue. I still wasn't thrilled with Danilo, but Danilo was playing way better than he did before. The role was simplified for him. He was to dish it out, make all the tackles, help the outside backs, help the center backs. It was very simplified for him. Get the ball, steal it away, do whatever, and get it back to Ronaldo Sanchez or Moutinho or whoever. And it was very simplified for him. And he was doing a decent job of it. It wasn't great. I still think when Paulinho came on, it was kind of funny. Whenever Portugal was in possession, he was doing exactly what I wanted, and he was making in transition moments when they lost the ball and stuff like that. He was actually making good tackles and doing everything. Like he was slide tackling, playing great long balls. His long ball, I was shocked. He was doing that, and he one time he like nutmeg. I forgot who it was, made on a good run, but nothing happened from it. But like he did what I wanted him to do. I really hope he starts against Belgium. And Diego Dallo, oh my goodness, he came on. Nelson Semedo got injured. I think everyone's like, why is Nelson Semedo playing? Why is Nelson Semedo playing? I predicted the last my video that I said that Fernando Santos was going to go with Nelson Semedo. It was if João Cancelo was there against Germany, the same result would have happened because João Cancelo is equally as horribly defending as Nelson Semedo. He's just better going forward. So. I didn't expect Nelson Semedo to be dropped. I would have dropped him. I would have. I would have clearly put on Diego Dallo. But Nelson Semedo, he did a way better job. He won some headers, did a lot of clearances, made some decent runs, but he got injured. And Diego Dallo came on, and Diego Dallo, and he didn't really have to do anything. I saw him make a couple of runs going forward, and I couldn't help myself. I was sitting here. I was just jumping up and screaming for Bruno to play him. It was like twice. One time he did play him. The other time he just went backwards, which I get so pissed off when players go backwards. I feel bad for an outside back because I played outside back in high school. When you make a run forward and if they play the ball to you, you're going to get it. It's so frustrating because you make that run forward and then you go all the way back, and it's like it pisses you off because you're like, dude, I was made that great run and we were gonna be in. I was gonna play a good and the attacking mid doesn't play you the ball. It just pisses you off. And Portugal fans, including myself, if you haven't seen Diego Dallo play with United and with Milan, he's such a great attacking threat going forward. I hope everyone saw the glimpses of what he can offer going forward. He's very good at making runs. He's very good. This is a guy throughout the Portuguese youth system dominated, was named in all like the teams of the tournaments at all the under 17, under 19, under 20s, all of those tournaments because he was the best outside back in I mean, the world or Europe, you can say, at that position in all these youth teams. So he is going to offer a lot. Obviously, he's got to develop, but I hope Nelson Semedo's fine. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not worried. I love Diego Dallo. I think he offers a lot on that attacking threat. And Belgium's going to leave a lot of space exposed on that side whenever their wing backs go forward. And Diego Dallo, I hope he eats that up. But obviously, the 5-back system with Belgium is going to be a little worrisome, if you know what I mean, if you see with Germany. But yeah. I hated the fact that the 2 goals for Portugal were penalty kicks. I didn't want them to be that way, but that's soccer. It goes that way. I hated the commentators. They were like debating how Danilo's penalty, the penalty caused by Hugo Lloris wasn't a penalty. I was like, that's a clear penalty because the player is not going to get the ball. He's going to get the player's head. He got the player's head, and then because Danilo hit the ball bounced then off Rui Patricio's hand after that. But I was like, he didn't play the ball. He played the player's head. You know, I've seen this so many times. If you do not get the ball, you go through the player, you get the player, it's a foul. It's a foul. I don't have any complaints about that. It was a clear foul. I even was like, that could be a potential red card look. I don't even know because like he didn't get the ball. Like initially he didn't get the ball. He was just on the follow through afterwards. He got the ball, but it wasn't even like he punched the ball out or anything with both hands or even like made an attempt. It was his fist and it caught him straight in the side of the head. And I was like, dude, I hope. First thing I was like, I hope Danilo. I thought he was gonna. I don't even know concussion. I thought he was gonna be out, but luckily he was fine. But I was like, that's a penalty. That's a penalty. I don't have any problems with that. Okay, Benzema's penalty, I had an absolute problem with it. I was like, I've seen this time and time again where refs, you never call those sort of like, it's like a little push, it's a little like block. I mean, essentially Mbappe is the one who runs into Nelson Semedo. Nelson Semedo's running backward. He does extend his arm slightly, but Mbappe just runs into him and then is like, penalty. And it's like, oh, I gotta give a penalty. I'm like, why'd the ref give the penalty? I don't know. And then, Koundé's penalty, I totally agreed with that. Because what I've seen, and just as in the Premier League, La Liga, and Serie A, all the top leagues, and the Champions League, whenever the player in this penalty, because it hits his arm, whenever the ball hits the player's arm and the player jerks his arm away or just has that sort of, he moves it like after he gets hit, and then it's like he moves it nervously out of the way while after he gets hit. I've seen the ref always call those penalties for some reason. So that's how been my interpretation is if it hits the arm and the player just moves his arm, it's a penalty for some reason. If the player it hits his arm and he doesn't move it, I usually don't, what I've seen, the refs don't call it. So as soon as that happened, and the way he did it, his arm was raised up in the air. Like he didn't have to do it. It was an unnatural position. And I was like, yeah, it's a penalty, and I totally agree with it. Obviously, the commentators and everyone were just like, "Oh, it shouldn't have been a penalty. It shouldn't have been a penalty." They all hate they all hate Portugal. They want Portugal to lose. I mean, here in the U.S. on ESPN, you're watching Alessandro Del Piero and then McNamara. I can't remember they're anti-Portugal. They hate Portugal no matter what. They were like, "Oh, it shouldn't have been a penalty." Alessandro Del Piero, he hates Ronaldo. He's made that clear obviously every time. He's criticized them for Juventus, and he was like, only the penalty at the end. Only the penalty at the end. The penalty appeal at the end. That should have been a penalty, which I actually agree. I was scared to death because I was like, that's a penalty. He has his studs on the back of his leg. I think that's a penalty, you know. And I was like, oh, please. I'm just like praying. I'm just like, God, don't let it be a penalty. Don't let it be a penalty. Just let the UEFA be like, oh, we need these top 3 teams to all go through. So just let's use our little backroom little stuff here and just pretend we didn't see that, you know. And they didn't call it, which I was shocked. I know if I was a France fan, I would be, and I was right now making this video as a France fan. From that perspective, I would have been ranting and raving about how that should have been a penalty because I thought it was a penalty. Well, luckily, it wasn't. And at the end, as I said before, I wanted Portugal to go back to the actual tactical part of the game. I wanted Portugal to possess the ball because whenever Portugal was defending, I was so worried that they were going to concede because it just looked like they were going to concede. With ever Coman cutting in, they couldn't really deal with him per se. Serge Olivier, when he came on, and Sissoko was on him, and I just as an example, when you're covering a player who has the ball in front of you, you don't give him like a yard or 2 yards of space in front of him. Like he was giving Sissoko on this one cross. Luckily, nobody was in the box for the cross, so Sissoko had to go back. But he's looking for the cross, and Sergio Oliveira is giving him he's social distancing essentially with Sissoko. And I'm like, close on him, get on him, okay? I mean, stuff like that. And there's so many times in the midfield where France had opportunities to shoot from long distance, like Pogba essentially I was like, Rui Patricio. I was pissed at Rui Patricio for Benzema's goal because I thought he could have done better. And on the penalty, he was already going the one way when Benzema already shot. And Benzema was like, okay, I'll go the other way. But made that great save. And then the midfield is problem. The midfield doesn't step quick enough to Pogba, whoever it is. Pogba, whether it be Conte or who would it be, Tolisso, Rabiot. I can't even remember who all the Sissoko, whoever it was in the midfield at times. I think it was mostly Pogba. They would not step to him quickly enough. You have to step quickly to him. Paulinho, I get it. He can't be everywhere at once, but the point was at that point, the whole Portuguese team is sat back in their own defending side. So it shouldn't be just on Paulinho to do anything there. It's the whole team at that point, and nobody was stepping to him. Renato Sanchez was like jogging in half another world. Ruben Neves and Paulinho, they were marking some other side, but nobody is stepping to him at all. I remember it was just like somebody stepped to him, there's gonna be a shot. There's somebody stepped to him, and like somebody would finally like get to him, but it'd be like a little like unnerving because France could have done more at that time with it, and they luckily didn't. And then another thing, the first half. Okay, Portugal had Moutinho and I think Paulinho, maybe Ronaldo a couple times. I think it was mostly Moutinho. I remember Moutinho had 2 shots in the whole game, okay? He had so much space and time to lay a better shot on target. I felt he would just, they were nowhere near the goal, and that's pathetic for a player of his quality. And it pissed me off because Portugal, it wasn't just him. There was some other player too. It just like whenever they got a chance to make like a long distance shot, they shanked it so far wide. And I was pissed because the players that I wanted to get the ball at their feet, I was thinking right there, Moutinho. If Moutinho wasn't playing, Ruben Neves would have been there. And Ruben Neves, any person who's gone against him knows how well he can smash the ball outside the box. And I'm like, it's Moutinho is doing poor, and then he gets another opportunity, he's doing poor. And I wish it was Ruben Neves there because Portugal just did a pathetic job trying to defend or not defend, to attack those distance, the space that's there to shoot. When France gives you an opportunity to shoot, you shoot. You don't just hesitate. Don't like. I get if you're right foot and you shoot with your left foot, but don't f up. Man, Bernardo Silva. Talk about him. This is probably his best game. I think whenever he got the ball, he would hold possession or link up or get something going forward. I really like that. He didn't do anything stupid. He defended well. That was the important thing. He defended well. He would get back. And whoever it was on his side, was it Kylian Mbappe? He was helping out Nelson Semedo. Did a fantastic job there. I couldn't ask more defensively from Bernardo Silva. He did a good job. Diego Jota did a great job as well, coming back and helping on defensively. And Ronaldo did a good job. He converted the 2 penalty kicks. But sometimes there was stuff I felt like he could have done better. He had like a volley or something that was a poor. Varane headed it up, and then he volleyed it with his left foot wide. I thought he should have done better than that. But I mean, I still always expect more from Portugal. I expected this because France, they play so narrow. And, I mean, I mentioned in in the last video or the video before, how Portugal's played this team twice in the UEFA Nations League. And it was 0-0 and then 1-0. And I think it was the midfield, essentially, the holding mids were still Danilo and Carvalho in those games. So, and they never exposed them then. So I was essentially saying they're going to similarly do something like this. France plays narrow. They're more pragmatic, as I said. They're not going to be like this free-flowing attacking team. So, essentially, overall, this game, I got what I expected. I still expect more from Portugal. And I felt there at the end, too. I was surprised Fernando Santos was on the sideline telling his team to attack at the end. They were like, he was telling Diego Dallo, he's motioning him to go forward. And they had this mindset that, I don't know, maybe Fernando Santos is telling his team to attack, and this team just doesn't want to. I don't know, but there's so much more to this Portuguese side. It's disappointing. I felt like why didn't they go for the win? They could have gone for the win. I felt like every time they get the ball and they're actually getting to France half, they look like they could do something, but then something would mess up and France would regain possession. It was frustrating. Obviously, Renato Sanchez. Okay, he got the start. I was not surprised. I said I think he was going to replace him, Bruno Fernandes. I didn't want him. I said I would still play Bruno Fernandes, but he got the start. And he did a good job doing what he was supposed to do. I still think Bruno would have done it. I think Bruno should have been on the field alongside him. That would have been even better attack-wise. I think Portugal would have done so much more better. Bruno would have drawn into the game. He's got a guy on there next to him who's dynamic, can steal, do everything. A perfect midfielder, box-to-box midfielder would have helped him so much. I hope Fernando Santos, you're watching this, that you don't understand how much that if you have both of them on the field at the same time, that and you're in that early game part of the game where you're growing into the game, that would have. I mean, Bruno Fernandes came on; he didn't have much time to do anything essentially. But if you start him alongside Ronaldo Sanchez, just like that's scary. That's scary for any opposition to come against, because that midfield with them, Paulinho or Danilo, that's scary. But Ronaldo Sanchez still did a good job putting in good work. I said before, though, he could have done better pressing, essentially. That the base of the midfield, right there at the base of the midfield where the center backs and the holding mids are, that's Portugal needs to do a better job closing the spaces. Just close the spaces quicker. If you're going to play this counter-attacking or defensive side, you have to close the spaces a lot quicker. You can't be so slow, because the midfield at times just feels slow, even with Danilo specifically. But he still did a better job. It just feels so slow. And I hate, as I said before, I hate giving the ref the reason why you win the game, because him giving the decisions to him of him having to give the penalties. I want it to be open play, attacking football. But against Belgium, I guess Belgium's going to be an interesting game. I'll probably preview that in another video. But it was a hell of a game. 2-2. France, well done. Benzema, man, I got to shout out to Benzema, because one of my teams I support is Real Madrid. Benzema is one of the best strikers in the world. If he had been there in 2018 at the World Cup, France probably would have won like 10-0 against Croatia. They probably would have just steamrolled everyone, because that's how good of a striker Benzema is. His runs, everything, just he understands the game. He was dropping deep, man. He knew where the weak space. That's another thing. He's such a smart player. He knows where to drop in between the midfielders. There's so much space there. He understands it to come back, help out, go for, make the run. It was such a great run in that goal. That's another thing. Pepe and Ruben have got to be better in sync. You got to understand. You got to read that. But, I mean, I can't say complain about them that much. That's just Benzema being the world-class striker he is. But Portugal against Belgium, man, you got to attack. You got to attack. You got so much talent. We haven't seen João Felix. I want to see João Felix. We'll see. But hopefully it's a completely different thing now in the knockout stages. So that'll be interesting to see how that approach goes. But, yeah. That's the video. So all over the place, just reacting. I'm so emotional. I was watching also the Germany-Hungary game at the same time. That was crazy. I feel bad for Hungary. They deserve more. It's kind of funny, though. Germany's going to go against England, two of the probably most underwhelming teams in the tournament. It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, I think it's going to be Germany pass, and England's going to try and defend. I don't really know if they play so narrow, England. I haven't really paying attention. I'm very disappointed with England, because I think the problem is Gareth Southgate. Same way with Portugal, the problem's Fernando Santos. But anyway, that'll be interesting to see. I would have rather. I was actually hoping Portugal. I've been wanting Portugal to play Belgium, because I'm not crazy about Belgium the way everyone else is, and I've been wanting Portugal to expose Belgium for what they are. I don't think they're this power team. I think De Bruyne and Lukaku are their best players. Like, De Bruyne literally is the best player on their team by far. Without him, they're nothing. They have to the first game against Russia. Russia's a terrible team. I'm just gonna say that. And they got those goals, were lucky. It was kind of just such a lopsided game. But when De Bruyne came on in the second game, he changed the whole complexity of the team and controlled the midfield. And if Portugal's just gotta nullify him or keep the ball away from him, and they'll win that game. The defense is very. I'm surprised nobody's exposed Belgium's aging back line. They're just a dam about to break if an attacking team goes against them. But yeah, it's still gonna be a good game. But every time I've seen Portugal and Belgium play against each other in friendlies, Portugal's always been the better side. The funny part is I don't think Ronaldo's actually been in any of those games, which Portugal plays slightly differently. They play more attack-minded, which is kind of weird without Ronaldo. But I don't really want to talk about that. But yeah. It's crazy. This is a group of death, and all three teams made it out. Hats off to France, hats off to Germany. And Portugal, obviously, good job. I expect more from you. I'm going to keep saying that until you start playing more. I think I'm just going to briefly mention this because I just think it's important. Diego Dallo is going to make a pretty big difference if Portugal wants to go all the way, because he is one of the best young attacking outside backs in the world with so much potential. But yeah. And Paulinho coming on so helpful. I was surprised still, because Fernando Santos doesn't seem to value people who don't have the experience quite yet in the international level. That's good. I think Paulinho is going to make an important role for this team going forward. I know Sporting fans are probably so happy to see him on the field. But yeah, that's the video, guys. Crazy. You guys let me know what you think down below. Hopefully this side
plays more attacking, and stops conceding goals against big opponents. That's the thing. Portugal concedes all these goals. No matter if any big team they go against, they always will concede goals. There's just something about the way they sit back in the midfield and just allow teams to pass around them. You're gonna ask for teams to score goals against you, and they gotta lock that down. And sometimes the best way to lock that down is to possess the ball and attack. But we'll see. You guys let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure to give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoy my content. Soccer, football, and then American football, and all that stuff. Make sure specifically like and comment to help YouTube's algorithm. I really appreciate it. But yeah, anyway, guys, that's the video. I'll see y'all in the Portugal-Belgium game on Saturday.